Hello, and welcome to this Miklix video where I'm going to show you how to defeat the boss duo consisting of two knights cavalry that can be found in the Consecrated Snowfield in Elden Ring. As you probably know, bosses in Elden Ring are divided into three tiers. From lowest to highest, field bosses, greater enemy bosses, and finally demigods and legends. Knights Cavalry is in the lowest tier, field bosses, and these two can be found guarding a large carriage in the Consecrated Snowfield, but only at night. Like most lesser bosses in the game, defeating these are optional in the sense that it is not required in order to progress the main story. During my travels across the lands between, I have killed many knights of the Knights Cavalry. So many, in fact, that they now appear to fear riding alone at night. Aw, poor babies. If you rest at the inner Consecrated Snowfield site of Grace, you will see one of those large carts being pulled by two trolls in the distance. It is guarded by several foot soldiers and a couple of crossbow-wielding nuisances. If you see it at night, it will also be guarded by two Knights Cavalry bosses, which should spice things up quite a bit. By using a longbow or some other means of ranged attacks, it is possible to pull the two bosses separately, so you only need to fight one at a time. Despite my excellent strategy of killing the horse first to get the rider on the ground, I was reluctant at the prospect of dealing with two of these black knights at the same time, so it was a pleasant surprise to discover that wasn't necessary. That's the second time recently the game has given me a good surprise. Usually things are far worse than I expect. Strange. The two bosses are slightly different in the sense that one of them wields a mace and the other wields a glaive. If you approach them from the suggested site of Grace, the mace-wielding one will be closest and therefore probably the one you will fight first. At least, that's what I did. I made use of my usual strategy of killing the horse first, which I once again have to admit isn't so much a strategy as a case of me having poor aim, swinging my weapon around wildly and just happening to hit the horse more than the rider, but the end result is the same. Once the rider lands flat on his back on the ground, he's open for a juicy critical hit, and there's just a certain warm and fuzzy feeling to enjoy when one manages to pull that off. Before engaging the second boss, I would advise to dispose of the two crossbow-wielding soldiers that are trailing behind the carriage. They will happily join the fight if you let them live, but not on your side, so it's better to take them out first. Once again, pull the boss from range to avoid aggroing all the lesser soldiers around the carriage. They're easy enough to kill, but you don't want them cramping your style with a grumpy boss on your case. For the second boss, I used the Bolt of Gransax to not only pull him, but also do some juicy damage before he even knew what hit him. I can only imagine what it must feel like to ride alone peacefully and then literally get struck by lightning from behind, but I'm pretty sure that must have hurt. Which also explains why he was in such a foul mood when he reached me. The second boss wields a glaive, and I generally found this one more dangerous than his flail-wielding counterpart. Especially that heavy attack he does where he drags the glaive along the ground and rides towards you can be devastating, so make sure to stay well clear of the pointy end of his weapon when he does that. Other than that, the strategy is pretty much the same. Try not to get hit, and then get a few hits in return. The reach of the glaive is much greater than the flail, so don't underestimate how far you'll need to get away from him if you need a well-deserved sip from a flask or maybe just a moment to plot your next genius move. The second boss also managed to prevent me from using my usual strategy of killing the horse first. Maybe he saw what happened to his buddy, or rather, maybe his horse saw it and didn't want to end up like the other horse for a fight it doesn't care about or understand. Or maybe I have finally gotten better at hitting the rider instead of the innocent horse. Or most likely, it was just pure luck. And by the way, the horse kicks whenever it gets a chance, so it's not all that innocent. Regardless, on the second boss it was the killing blow that sent him flying from the saddle while his horse pranced off to greener pastures, so all things considered, I think that's as close to a happy ending as we're going to get. And now for the usual boring details about my character. I play as a mostly dexterity build. My melee weapon is the Guardian Swordspear with keen affinity and Thunderbolt Ash of War. In this fight, I also used the Bolt of Gransax for some long-range nuking. My shield is the Great Turtle Shell, which I mostly wear for the stamina recovery. I was level 152 when this video was recorded, which I think is a bit high for this content, but it was still a fun fight. I'm always looking for the sweet spot where it's not mind-numbing easy mode, but also not so difficult that I will be stuck on the same boss for hours. Anyway, this is the end of this Knights Cavalry duo video. Thanks for watching. Check out the YouTube channel or Miklix.com for more videos. You could even consider being completely awesome by liking and subscribing. Until next time, have fun and happy gaming!